friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to be trying an experiment with a new fermentation starter. Now I've been getting a lot of questions about using honey in fermenting. Now my initial reaction, especially when using raw honey, is that it could kill the bacteria, because we know what raw honey does. It's antibacterial. However, years ago I used to make honey wine or mead, and honey wine obviously is going to ferment. It has to, and I made it with raw honey, and I used my fermentation starter when I made it. So if I could ferment honey water with some fruit and my own fermentation starter, then I would think I should be able to make a fermentation starter using honey in replace of the cane sugar. So what I'm going to do, since I know that apples work great for a fermentation starter, because this was one of my other experiments, was to see how well apples will work, and they work just as well as any other fruit. And I'll be using this in a minute for something else, and that's why it's out. I'm going to go ahead and use one of my little tiny apples. And to be honest, these little tiny ones, they seem to have the best flavor, even over those really big, beautiful apples I got off the tree. These ones taste the best to me. But for using for a fermentation starter, they're nice too, because then I don't have to cut up as much. So I'm going to just I'm going to go ahead and cut up this whole apple and just throw it in this jar. Actually, let me do this first. Since we're working with honey, it'd probably be best to put some honey in the jar first. And this particular honey is my very favorite. I'm going to put a heaping teaspoon in. And this is Glory Bee's raw blackberry honey, and I will link to that below. It is my very favorite. If I can't get local, if it's not available, local is my very favorite. We have some friends that get some awesome tasting honey. But this is out of Oregon, and so it's Northwest blackberry raw honey, and it's really, really good stuff. Wonderful flavor and everything. And I used to use that when I made the honey wine, and it made the best tasting honey wine. So now I'm going to go ahead and pour in a little bit of my filtered rainwater and mix that in there. It'd probably be easier if it was warm, but I always get nervous about warming it up too much because I don't want to kill anything in that honey, because that's where all the good stuff is. And besides, this is part of the experiment, right? To see if it's going to work with the raw honey. So, and it's dissolving pretty good in there. Alright, so with that in mind, I'll go ahead and toss my apple pieces in there. And I'm actually starting with a little bit more than I normally would when I'm making a fermentation starter. So I probably won't add more fruit to this as it goes. I'll probably just use this. Okay, so you can see what that looks like. And again, I don't care about the seeds and all that being in there, because there's nothing to fear in those apple seeds, despite what they try to tell you. Same thing with peach pits and apricot kernels and all that. Okay, so now I'm again all out of Tatler lids because I used them all up canning my grape juice. So I'm going to have to buy more. Eventually I'll have enough. But it seems like I'm always canning more kinds of stuff every year. So I'm putting a tight-fitting lid on there, and tomorrow I will feed this again, and I'll put a little bit more honey in there. I'm not going to feed it again later today because I think I've got a sufficient amount of honey and stuff in here. But tomorrow I'll give it a little more water and a little bit more honey, and I'll mix it up really good. And I'll probably use a chopstick instead of metal in that when I go to mix it. And after 3 days I'll come back and I'll finish out this video and show you whether or not it works. Before I worry about that, since I'm already standing here, I'll go ahead and show you what else I have going on today. And I'm going to show you this is just 2 jars of the grape juice I got off of my grapevines. And you can find the video of our harvest right up here. It's just a short video because we pulled the camera out kind of at the last minute. It's like, oh, we should be recording this. Sometimes you get busy out there and you just forget to grab the camera. And now these are green grapes, or also known as white grapes. Not very white looking, is it? But I like to have a little bit of pulp in there because I just think it's healthier. And so I have a blog post that I'm going to be putting up it'll be up by the time this video comes out. So I'm going to go ahead and put that blog post right up here, the link to it. And it explains all, since I didn't record it, I figured I better do a blog post, because that was something else. I was just so busy with the canning, I just didn't want to hassle with the camera and getting it set up and the light, because I have to set the light up and it's really a hassle. And I was doing too much walking back and forth. I didn't want to bother with that. But I thought it was interesting that each batch, I did 3 batches. I canned 3 batches, and each one turned out a little bit different color, even though they're all the same grapes. And some of it I put a little bit of sugar in, and some of it I didn't. Now this is a very tart grape juice, and it's also, what I forgot to say in my Facebook post, but that I did say in my blog post, is this is condensed. So, because I like to condense it down. So even with it condensed, I still got a total of 4 gallons of grape juice from my grapes. And I'll insert a picture right here. And that's all the jars right there. So I still have to finish washing them all up and getting them marked and put away. And then right here, I had someone interested in my skin cream. One of the reasons I put the skin cream sales on hold was because I wanted to take time to kind of find some better jars for shipping than the little mason jars. So the little mason jars are great if you're doing it at home, but for shipping, I wanted something I didn't have to worry about breaking as much. So I got these, and they're just a nice size. This is 4-ounce jars. This skin cream, if you're interested in it, you can contact me at raincountryhomestead@gmail.com. And what this is made out of is herb-infused avocado oil to start with, and that is my own homegrown organic herbs, pansies, calendula, and marshmallow leaves. And then coconut oil, shea butter, beeswax, and then for essential oils, because these are really good for your skin, I've got ylang ylang, frankincense, and grapefruit, plus a little bit of vanilla essential oil just to add a little bit more to the smell, because this, all together, those 4, I just really love the smell of those, and it's just excellent for your skin. So this is what I use all the time on my skin. People ask me all the time, what do you use on your skin? It's just this, my own homemade skin cream. So if you're interested, just contact me, and we can get some shipped out to you. But you can also make your own, so don't forget to go find that video right up here on how to make your own skin cream, so you don't have to buy it from me. All right, not that I'm trying to discourage you from buying it from me either. Now, somebody on Facebook, and I think it was Stephanie, or was it Katrine? I don't remember, ladies, I'm sorry, it was one of you two, was talking about fermenting their hot peppers. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. That's what I should do. What's happening here is these are cayenne peppers, and you can see some are just a little bit starting to turn red. I did get a few that turned red, and I dehydrated. But what happened this year is I started my cayenne peppers like I did the year before, and they were starting to grow, and something came in and ate all of my starts. And so I had to start all over, and so my cayenne peppers ended up coming in really late and didn't get it, and they just haven't had time to turn red, and now I'm expecting it to freeze any day. And so I went out and harvested all the rest. Well, not all the rest, I think there's still a few more out there, and I'm just going to leave those and see, since they're in the greenhouse, to see if maybe they'll have a chance to grow a little bit more and maybe turn red. I'm going to go ahead and ferment these, and instead of having a red hot sauce, I'll be making a green hot sauce. But here's the thing, I've tasted these green, and they're just as hot, if not hotter, green, and they are so good. And I love cayenne pepper. And so I'm going to be fermenting these, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in about a tablespoon. This is the Himalayan salt. And I know I always talk about the Redmond real salt, and that truly is my favorite, and I always link to that one below. The Himalayan is great too. I don't know if the salt that I bought before is still available on Amazon, but if you think you'd be more interested in the Himalayan, I'll link to it below as well if I can find it. But the Redmond is my favorite. It's mined here in the U.S., and I just think it has the best flavor. Before I found out of the Redmond salt, I had bought a whole bunch of the Himalayan, so I'm still trying to work through it. I mean, I have a lot. So I'm going to put in, that's about a tablespoon. I want a little more salt in there than I would normally add. And then I'm going to put in at least a 1/4 cup of my apple fermentation starter. You can use any fermentation starter that you've already made. And if you're new to my channel and you don't know about the fermentation starter and how easy it is to make and to use, you can find the video on that right up here. And also look for my playlist on fermentation. I have lots of videos about using the fermentation starter, including for making homemade bread. All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and take a 1/4 cup of the liquid, and I'm going to put the fruit back in there and pour that in there. And then what I want to do with this, with the starter, is I want to add a little bit of sugar, maybe about a teaspoon. Probably doesn't really need that much. And then I'm going to top it off with my filtered water. And so now I just let it shake it up, let it so it can blend that sugar in, and then I'm just going to let it sit here on the counter for the rest of the day, and then I'll stick it back in the fridge. So now to this, I'm going to go ahead and fill it up with my filtered rainwater. And since I'll be using these later for making a hot sauce, I'm just trying to ferment just the peppers for now until I get to the point I'm ready to make hot sauce. And so, this time I do have a Tatler lid. So I'm going to put that on kind of tight so I can shake it. Okay, and then I'll just go ahead, since I don't have to open this one every day, I'm going to go ahead and loosen the lid a little bit so some of those gases can escape. And I'll set that there next to my honey apple fermentation starter. And then I will be back in 3 days and we'll check on both the peppers and the fermentation starter and see how they turned out. All right, so see you in a bit. All right, so I'm back, and it's actually been 4 days because yesterday I just got too busy to shoot the rest of this video. However, this stuff was ready yesterday and I want you to see it. There, nice cloudiness. You see some sediment on the bottom. So the color and the appearance of this tells me that it is ready. The smell of it also tells me it is ready. And, let me shake it up a little bit, the sound of it also tells me it is ready. So, smells really good. So that's why I hold these up to the camera, is so that you can hear the fizziness. Sometimes I don't always say that and people think I'm trying to get you to smell it. I know we don't have smell-o-vision. But anyway, I still have yet to use it to ferment anything with, but I will certainly be using this the next time I ferment anything, which might possibly be another batch of fermented eggs, because I have some plans of trying all kinds of yummy spices with that. I'm thinking cayenne pepper and garlic and maybe something else. But anyway, I'll be trying that and I'll let you know how it works. So I can tell that there will be no problem getting that to ferment anything. So that will tell you that raw honey does work to make a fermentation starter. Now here is the cayenne peppers. And again, you see some sediment build up here. You see the cloudiness of the liquid. That tells you it's doing exactly what it should be doing. So if you're new to fermenting, the cloudy water is what you need to expect. If you see that, that means you're doing it right. It's not anything to be afraid of. If you see any kind of buildup on the bottom, again, that is normal and should be expected. This is good, healthy stuff in here. So my cayenne peppers are all nicely fermented and they taste really good. I think, however, I'm going to go ahead and leave them 1 more day because I want to let them, or maybe 2, I want to allow them to get a little bit more tart, and then I'll be storing them in the refrigerator until I need to make some hot sauce with them. All right, and before I close out this video, I want to show you a couple more things. Over here, I've got some ingredients out to make my own cough, cold, and flu syrup, which yes, does have elderberries in it, but we'll have much more, and so I'll be shooting that video, so watch for that to come out in the near future. And then here, these big fat dowel looking things, Patrick made for me as rolling pins. Now, though I absolutely adore my marble rolling pin right here, and this is what I use for making pie crust, I asked for these so that I could have something to roll things out right in a cookie sheet. So if you remember, you saw my video on making the Wanda's gluten-free crackers. I'll go ahead and link to that right up here. I have tried it again since, just being able to roll the crackers directly into a nice well-greased pan, you know, cookie sheet with butter or coconut oil, and then just rolling it right in there, so there's no need to use waxed or parchment paper. And then you can just sprinkle a little bit of your almond flour on top of that if you're using almond flour or whatever gluten-free flour you're using. He made them for me in 2 different sizes, so I have some different options. So yeah, and if you're interested in something like this, a handleless rolling pin is actually quite common. I didn't know that until last year or so, and I was like, well, that's interesting. And then I realized there's places ones without the handle can really come in handy. You just roll it this way. And so let me know if you might be interested in these or any of Mr. Rain's other wood products. All right, hope you enjoyed this video and that you'll get to fermenting and try out that raw honey or even some coconut sugar. Thanks for watching. Take care.